Right, right. Oh, I got, I should activate.
Here we come, there they go. People rise, 'cause they know we're super soldiers. We got cool clothes. You real smooth when you see our pose. Action, energize, mask on. Time to ride. Combine, grease ties.
We are here. It is us. It is I, Gazbot, and it is he.
The Big Dawg Defender.
That's right. It is us. We are here for Action Activate, and as you can see by the graphic I have put in this area, we are once again talking about Power Rangers Unworthy. We missed last week, but the week before we were talking about them. We didn't plan on talking about them again so soon, but they released the third episode, so we're like, well,
Yep.
time to go. Right off the top, well, I was about to jump in, but before I get in there, let me talk about what's going on. Up here last week, I had the process for that. That's what's his name from Kira Majin from the new Sentai that's been announced. And up here, not that. Up here, we'll have a work in progress of another head sketch I did recently that's somewhat Sentai related. Actually, it's funny because usually I do these for finished work to be make a print, and they take me hours and hours, so I speed it up. But since these were warm-up sketches, I actually slowed it down so it'll take an hour because there's only about a half hour real time. So that's that. I'm an artist. I'm Gazbot. Blah 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 blah. Let me say hi to chat. We got Big Dog in chat. We got Dolly Girl. Hello Dolly Girl. Iron Seen as P-Man. Hello. Glad you made it. Real Babu. Hello to all. And yeah, everybody that's lurking, that's speaking, that's watching this later on YouTube. Welcome one and all. So before we jump into Unworthy, is there anything you want to throw out there, Big Dog?
We can talk about. Do you want to do news now or later?
Nah, we should do news after.
Okay. Then, other than that, update as of today in
Yes.
regards to Unworthy Episode 3, over 500,000
I saw
views.
that. That's 500,000. In what, a week?
1 week.
That's impressive. That is very. Those
Yeah.
are numbers. Those are numbers. They aren't letters, folks. They're numbers.
And one thing for Unworthy Productions specifically, and we're a little late on the train, but one thing I noticed is they've been really appreciative of all of the fan support and reactions and stuff. And I've seen so many other channels and pages on Instagram and things like that they've shouted out for fan art and reviews and things like that. So they're definitely some cool guys.
Yeah, they're appreciative of the attention.
Yeah.
Actually, I just saw some fan art by the original Mr. J's, I think is his name. It's somebody I follow already, and when I saw they put up the fan art, I'm like, that looks like, oh, it is. So on the
Yeah.
Instagram they put it up, so that was cool.
What about you? Anything before we dive in?
No, I got some news stuff I want to talk about too, but I'll leave that till the end because it won't be relevant if people watch this later.
Fair.
There is something in chat. Iron Seen as P-Man says, so some interesting news that went under the radar is that the 6 U Rangers are meeting up this year for something. I had not heard that. That is extremely interesting, especially considering the guy that plays Burai has not really been around at all. And while some of them have been coming to conventions here in the U.S., like I went to a convention where I met all except for Burai and the gentleman that plays Dan. I don't remember the actors' names. I apologize. So not like a few of them getting together isn't that crazy, but all 6, that's very interesting.
Yeah.
So thank you for that. Iron CSP says Burai actor said on Twitter, I don't know what, but again, the fact that he's involved at all is quite interesting. Even if it's just like an appearance, that's unusual for him. And Dolly Girl saying hi, so hello. So let us jump in because we're veering into news a little bit. So let's jump in. I actually took some slides. Previously, we would show the trailer and then talk about it. We already showed the trailer for this, but it was like a half hour long. It was like an episode of like a real
It was
show.
a full episode.
I was shocked.
Something.
I was like, hey, let's talk about this and a couple other things. And then when I saw how long it was, like, let's just talk about this. This is gonna be the whole episode.
Yeah.
So I also did a slideshow, not quite as comprehensive as I do, but I have plenty. Let me actually turn that on right there. So I'm gonna keep it kind of small right here, but this is the thumbnail they had for episode 3, and yeah, so the half hour right off the bat, that took me by surprise, especially because previously they had taken episodes like I think it was two was like part 1 and part 2. So
Yeah,
I,
that was about 20 minutes.
yeah, and I'm gonna kind of contradict myself a little bit here. Well, not exactly, because I had said, hey, why didn't they just make that episode 2 and 3? Why was it part 1 and 2? I didn't get it. With this one, and this isn't a commentary on the content, but just the presentation, they could have made this 2 or 3 episodes if they wanted to.
Oh, easily.
And there were certain breakpoints you could see that would have worked fine. So I just wonder once again, like what made them decide to make part 2 a 2-parter, and then this one, which could have been several episodes, one. I don't know. There's nothing right or wrong about it. It's just interesting to me the way they decide to,
I feel like for this episode specifically, because of the nature of what it went over,
Right.
I think there was probably either an official agreement or an unwritten agreement of because of everybody else involved, like this is the way of like, hey, do you remember the first Ninja? Boom, how about this? Oh, do you know
Yeah.
this? Boom, go watch their stuff. So this, I think, was obviously a lot of different teams coming together, and this is a way of being like, that's really cool. Oh wait, I can see them here, and just
Right.
kind of cross promoting everything.
That
as
makes
it
sense,
moves
but
forward.
and so they had to put it all out in one big shot then, and not
Correct.
That might be true. And actually, I want to touch on that more later on. I guess Ninja Steel, but it's not like we were arguing.
I already did it. We can't go
Okay,
back.
that's true. Once a Ninja Steel point is released into the wild, it cannot be retracted. You can only counteract it by giving extra Ninja Steel points to the other person.
Exactly.
All right. So one thing I thought was interesting right off the bat. There's the first slide. Well, two things about this. One, it's a little dark, but they said previously on, right? And they show kind of the ending of the fight. And by the way, there's going to be huge spoilers in this. So if you aren't caught up, stop watching this, go catch up, because there's no way to talk about this without big spoilers. So at the end of the last episode, Tommy of our kind of main team seemingly killed
218 Rangers.
218 Rangers. There you go. And all the other Rangers getting beat, and the Arbiter just walking through everybody. And that's kind of where we ended. So this was like previously on, and it starts there for about 10 seconds. And then it goes to this scene of Adam dying, handing his coin to Rocky, which I'm like, wait, I don't remember that happening. And then I realized, oh, we're out of the previously on. So it was weird. Like the previously on was just like the first 5 seconds, and I thought they were going to recap everything. Which again, because of the runtime, I thought, well, okay, it's going to be 5 minutes of recap here. There's a lot to talk about, but they just jumped right into it. So that was interesting that it kind of tricked me, but also supports the theory that I had previously that Adam's on his way out, and I want to say Walter Jones. Zach is on his way in. And so I don't know if there's behind the scenes things with the actors or this is what they always planned, but it definitely, I said this last time, like this is what's going to happen. And, Ninja Steel, I was right.
Yeah, it felt more behind the scenes to me just because we never saw Adam unmorphed after that.
Right, exactly. Yeah, I agree. And if it was like a hero's death, you would have seen like the shattered face mask or him being like, "Go on without me," and he's just sort of like.
Even when he gave the coin, he stayed like morphed.
Right, and he should have demorphed potentially because he. But that's a stylistic choice and a budgetary choice, and so maybe he could have died in the suit, But you would think that the actor, if they're leaving, they want a hero moment. You know what I mean? So we won't know until we talk to them. We won't know until we talk to them. We wouldn't know unless we talk to them. Is what I mean to say. I'm not implying that we have something lined up. But
if you guys want to talk to us, we will talk to you.
Absolutely, absolutely. And it's a good dramatic moment, and it shows that there's consequences. It is a bummer because I've said before, not in this series, but in the regular Power Rangers series, I really like Adam a lot. So it bums me out that he's not so great in this one. But different universe, that's fine. Real quick in chat, Matt Kendall Clare, hey all, Evox must be looming since he's attacking me. Luckily, he can't attack iPhones that well. And Matt Kendall Clare did see the new Unworthy episode live the day it premiered. Well, good. Okay, I'm glad you're here, and I'm glad you're caught up. So, moving on from that, this guy shows up. What do you think about this guy?
So, okay, sorry. There's a delay. So
the Silver Time Force Ranger, basically.
Chrono Ranger was
thank you.
So cool.
I agree. I think he looks awesome. Two things come to mind. Well, three things. One, for anybody that's watched Hyperforce, there is a Hyperforce Silver Time Force Ranger played by Yoshi Sidarso, who then later transitions to a different character that I like I know this isn't Yoshi, but it'd be amazing if they got Yoshi to play this character. And who
So
knows?
sick.
They got William playing Ninja Steel Red, so weirder things have happened.
Yeah.
So that made me think of that, and I'm wondering, is this supposed to be that Hyperforce character, or is it just a different version? Who knows?
Yeah.
It reminded me of the Omega Ranger we saw in Shattered Past, in the sense that he's pulling different powers. And it made me think of, what was the other thing? Chrono Ranger. Oh, and something about the cape and the slapdash kind of reusing of things made me think of Ranger Slayer.
Yes.
Yeah.
So the thing I liked right off the bat, first of all,
Excuse me.
great presence by him.
Yes.
Second of all, I like how they establish very early, he gets powers from other Rangers and other
Yes.
timelines, other dimensions, etc. B, he mashes them up
Yeah.
to make them super cool. When he goes Quasar Cannon, I'm like, wait a minute, what the? And then
Yeah.
the Quasar Saber on the Mastodon
With the Magna Defender
counteract,
too.
oh my
Yeah.
gosh,
Very cool.
so cool.
I agree. And
So
even
cool.
when he shows up and they do like the hero shot, you see like a beast morpher, and you see like the chrono morpher, and like, so you already, just from that quick shot, it's like, okay, this is what he's about. This is a little touch that I really enjoyed too. In the visor, there's all kinds of readouts and displays. I like that
Yeah.
in general, but I also like it because in a lot of promo shots for Time Force, and I haven't seen Time Ranger, the Sentai it's based on, you see stuff in the visor, and it's like light or readouts, and I always thought there should be stuff going on there, whether it should or not.
Yeah.
The promo pictures always made me think that. So when I saw this, I'm like, oh, this is kind of what I always thought should be going on. Like reading all the different, oh, this timeline's going here, and that has a time signature of this temporal energy is eroding, or whatever they're seeing. But I always felt like that was needed, and again, a good effect here. And actually, I'll just say at the top, good special effects throughout. Very good. Very.
Yeah.
I can't think of any misses. Mostly solid, and a lot of really, really good stuff too.
Yep.
Even compared to stuff they've done before. And I had said this previously, where I really like their effects, and I continue to like them, and they may have even gotten better. Chat
Taking
real
a
quick.
look at chat, Iron Cena's P-Man. So with the use of Time Force Silver, they said it was an alternate version of an unknown Ranger. It's the exact same suit, and he says he has a dead friend. I would like to point out it is implied in Hyperforce that Hyperforce Yellow was his partner for a bit, so I'm saying Hyperforce Yellow died in his universe is kind of the take that they
Gotcha.
have. I don't really know, to be honest. I haven't seen too much Hyperforce. I do love the designs and stuff and some of the lore that they expand on. But, I mean, kind of like what we've seen in Shattered Past, there's a lot of kind of parallels to what we've seen, and then quick, like,
yes,
convergent.
And it
kind
could
of
be
arcs, and that's what I
supposed to
think
be
this is.
that character, which I don't think it's supposed to be that character. But I guess what I'm wondering is this an alternate timeline version of that character? Like if they took off, I think Joe was the name of that Ranger. So like if they took off their helmet, would they be Joe? And just, I'm Joe from a dimension where things went really bad, like that kind of thing.
Yeah.
Which I think would be cool. If not, whatever, it's still a cool design and everything.
Yeah.
But yeah, good entrance.
To your point also, I like the way they changed his voice, where it's something where maybe you're right, and in the back of their head they're like, oh, if Yoshi could do this, then we can have him take off the helmet and talk regular. But when it's on, it's that kind of distorted using somebody else's voice.
That's a good point, because I was gonna say I wasn't sure why they had the distortion, like, because usually they're doing it on the evil characters, maybe because he's so powerful that he's filled with it. But I will say I didn't love the distortion. I didn't hate it. I was like, in my opinion, it was unnecessary, but it didn't bother me. Unlike other times when I've said it made the character hard to hear, I could hear everything perfectly clear, so that's fine. It's a creative choice.
Yeah.
That's fine. I could hear the dialogue. That's the most important thing. And then, oh no, okay. So now this will be the first negative I have. Maybe you should talk about it first. This is basically Rocky and everybody leaves, and is it Kim or Kat, the Yellow Ranger? I'm sorry, the Pink Ranger. Okay, so it's Kim. Kim doesn't want to leave Tommy. And Rocky's like barely walks, so he leaves, and so now the Chrono Ranger's like, come on, we got to get out of here, and she's like, no, I don't want to leave Tommy. That's what we're talking about. What are your thoughts on this?
It wasn't my favorite thing, but I don't think I disliked it as much as you did.
Why was it not your favorite thing?
So the thing that I don't know, and this is me being very, very optimistic, is we saw that something happened to Tommy right as they teleported.
Mm-hmm.
Does that mean Tommy is for sure dead, or Tommy was corrupted because 6 Rangers are always a problem, and maybe a la Ranger Slayer,
Right.
the Arbiter might be using Tommy for something else later, and it's a big shock that she comes back or something. That part I don't know,
Yeah.
but I get from both sides of we can't leave people. Well, Adam's there, and nobody once was like, let's grab Adam. They're like, nope, he's gone. Let's just leave him be.
Okay.
We're not even going to bother.
No.
Just leave Adam be.
To your point about them leaving ambiguity whether Tommy lives, I agree, and I'm fine with that. If it turns out Tommy's dead, great. If they're corrupted, if they come back as a hero somehow, any of that's fine. That's all fine.
Whichever way, dead, alive, I don't care.
Yeah, well, and also, especially because the actress playing Tommy was one of my favorite ones in the series, so I'm bummed that they're gone, theoretically. But the ambiguity is fine because it leaves them possibilities. That I don't have a problem with. Leaving Adam's dead body there, they took his coin, he's dead. I'm pragmatic. I have no problem with that.
Yep.
I also had no problem leaving Tommy there when I thought Tommy was dead. But it becomes clear Tommy's not dead. Tommy's badly wounded, but Tommy's not dead. And Kim is not so badly hurt, we don't see anyway, that she couldn't have dragged Tommy. The Chrono Ranger's dragging Kim. He could have been like, Kim, walk over there, and the Chrono Ranger could have dragged Tommy. Tommy's alive, and they're leaving an alive Ranger behind. That's not okay. That really bothered me. And like you would see like, oh, and they're like, bye, sorry. And I'm like, what? Why would they? If Kim had held on, like, I don't know, it just, a dead Tommy could be left behind. Alive Tommy?
I think it was clear that Tommy was going to die, even though Tommy was still alive. Like, it was one of those things. I took it as she was so wounded. They're like, yeah, even if we bring her, there's no way.
I guess,
like,
but it's
we're
still,
gonna be on the run. We're gonna have no way of healing her. She's done.
You're probably right, and that makes it a bit better, but it just doesn't feel very Rangery.
It's not very Ranger, but that's the whole thing about this series. There's some things that are 100% Ranger. There's other things that are completely different, and that's why I love it.
I'm just saying, when they did that was, that was dark as DC, man.
Please don't say that phrase ever again to me.
What? You didn't like it when he said it later in the show? That was a great joke.
I know how you feel about Billy's jokes in the series.
Yeah.
But
I just want to illustrate how it doesn't always work when you make jokes.
Yeah, I know. But no, when they left, like, I got it, and kudos to Chrono Ranger because he's like, dude, there's no way I could beat the Arbiter, but I am trying really hard to save you guys.
I agree, and I also think it's good because it shows, Chrono Ranger comes in, you're like, okay, here we go. It's like, no. As powerful as Chrono Ranger is, they're just like, I'm just helping you escape. I'm not winning this battle for you.
What was the other weapon he used?
He had the red power sword, but I don't think he used it.
Yeah, he had something else, though, at the end. Because he had the quantum cannon, and then that didn't work.
Right.
And he switched to something else as, like, a last ditch, and then bounced. And I don't remember
Oh,
what he
it was the Quasar blaster. Or not the Quasar. The Time Force... Not the red Time Force Ranger. Wow, I can't speak. What was the name of... The Quantum Ranger. The Quantum Blaster. Whatever his was called.
Oh, the Quantum Defender?
Yeah, wasn't it that? Like, he pulled it in and blasted him with that? Or was that later? Maybe that was later.
That may have been later.
He definitely did that at some point, but maybe I'm mixing up my timeline.
If somebody remembers, please put in the comments, because I cannot for the life of me think of it.
Yeah, I if it's not that, then I don't know. Let's see. Iron Sinus Man says, okay, I hate the line, you're darker than DC, especially with the actor also being the writer. Just because you say it to dark doesn't change how dark it is. So they're responding to my earlier comment.
We missed one from Iron Sinus P-Man before. They also said, they said it was an alternate timeline version of the character on Instagram, the Ranger.
Oh, okay, cool. So that's cool, though, that they're referencing Hyperforce like that.
Like, so here's the thing.
Yeah.
To the comment about the writer / actor / creator who plays Billy. I get the humor they're going for. Unfortunately, it doesn't hit with Gaz. It hits with me on occasion.
It's also, once again, it's very tied to a certain time period.
Yeah, but that's fine because I can forgive it because everything else in this is phenomenal.
Is it more phenomenal?
Yes, and I hope that pun is used more.
Yeah, I mean, it doesn't ruin it for me. It's just, it doesn't work for me. Which is weird because I'm forgiving a lot of bad humor but maybe I don't know. It could be done. I've seen it. Like, I'm thinking of, like, Adam West Batman or something, where it's campy and cheesy on purpose, but it works. And this is, like, it's like an uncanny valley of humor, where it's like, oh, this is bad on purpose, but it, like, I don't know, it's just not working for me for some reason. Iron Sea SP Man. I also don't like the comedy of the character saying it is the writer. If this character saying, oh, Iron Sea SP Man is being harder on the writing because the character and the writer are the same They're writing their own
Oh
lines. I
yeah,
see what you're
yeah.
saying. That
That's how we are as well.
Yeah, yeah. Unfortunately, like, yeah, they can't just say it's just the actor, but whatever. Again, it doesn't ruin it, but it's just a pet peeve of mine. So we see
Yeah.
Kim did take the coin, just like they took Adams, and it's glowing. So presumably she's gonna get that power. And then, oh, I kind of missed the thing, but we cut to the Chrono Ranger. Like,
Oh yeah,
you
the
need to
first
know.
Ranger.
Yeah, you need to know what you're up against. So he does this whole flashback explaining the history, which overall is good.
Yeah.
There's this
Yep.
monster, which is some generic Power Rangers monster. Nice suit. The good film work, there's like booming with the footsteps and the camera shake.
Yep.
The mask sucks.
Yeah.
It sucks.
It's not
It,
ideal.
in a still shot here, it actually looks good. It doesn't move at all. It looks like something you bought from a Halloween store that's made of rubber, which again, a lot of
'Cause
Power
it
Rangers villains are like that. But
Yeah.
what makes it worse, and again, they did a lot of good shooting with it. I feel like they should have treated it like Jaws or the first Alien, where you cut away a lot and don't hang on the face. But they kept doing long, steady shots where you could really see the face, and at the same time, it would go howl and have like a howl, but the mouth is just hanging open. Like, make a howl.
Oh.
That's what we're seeing. It's not good. It's not good. And I understand limited resources, limited budget, and
I
the monster.
forgive it because of budget.
I don't. I forgive having a mask that doesn't move, and it's not a bad design. In this still shot, it looks good. But they have another shot after you see it from behind, and it looks great. And they, like, if they if they cut away and move the camera, use shadows, all that kind of stuff, it would have worked fine. But they had too many shots of the mask and then the howl noise where it's clear that the mouth isn't moving, so it really bothered me. Other than that, I have no problem with the monster. Like, and again, I get you can't make the mask, but they have shown that the cinematographer, director, whoever's making these calls, has the ability to do that sort of thing. But they just chose not to for some reason. And like I said, later on in this scene, they do better camera work that makes the monster look better. So I don't know. It just bummed me out. It bummed me out.
While you were doing that, I muted myself and sneezed twice, and
Good for you.
Disagree.
And you disagree?
No, like I said, I'm not saying you're wrong.
Uh-huh.
I'm saying I forgave it much quicker than you.
Okay. Well, this goes back in. It's weird because again, for those that don't watch our normal reviews, typically Big Dog is much more negative than I am, and for some reason on these, I'm the negative one, which is weird because these are like indie things that you would think I would be cut more slack than the big shows.
Yeah.
And I do, and I like it, but I guess I just I don't know.
I'm the exact opposite because I try to put myself in the shoes of like, okay, obviously Power Rangers has limited budget as well.
Right.
But a lot of things that I complain about on that show is either writing or execution
Right.
of just like choices they've made as opposed to like, oh, they did this and it looks awful because of budget. Whereas this, I'm like, dude, if you said, hey, make a Power Ranger series that's unlicensed where you have to fund it all yourself and do all these cool things, I give them 100% props because it's like, hey, we need a monster. Okay, what's the cheapest mask we can find and blend into costume? Like that's how I see it.
I semi agree, but they did have some crowdfunding for this one, so they did get some money. Not a ton, but there was a budget of some sort. I see your point, and I agree. I guess the thing is, with the bigger productions for Saban or Hasbro or whoever, I feel like there's so many people involved in the decision-making process.
There's so much meddling.
Yes, and you don't know if Nickelodeon said something or Disney said something or Saban said something. Did the director mess it up? Did whereas when it's similar with like Marvel Comics, if there's a bad issue of X-Men, there's so many people you could blame. Maybe the movie came out. I don't know. Whereas this is such a small crew, it's sort of looking like at an indie. Like if somebody reads one of my comics and they're like, "That was written bad" or "The art was bad," like you can pretty much blame me. It's not like I had other people.
I would love to know who you would blame other than you.
Well, no, but that's what I'm saying. And so I guess for an indie project, I feel like you have almost complete creative control. Like they have a few collaborators, but if you're the writer, the director, and the star, you have a lot of creative control. So when there's things that, like, again, this isn't a budgetary problem. The budgetary problem is why they have a bad mask. Fine. The creative decisions to shoot it the way they did, that doesn't cost money.
That's fair.
That's what I'm saying. We missed a lot
Let's
of chat.
take a look at chat.
Yeah, I'm going to give you one
shot. Dolly Girl thinks that's a scary monster. I happen to agree.
I
Real
an
Dabu
image I
said,
agree.
hey, no such thing as a generic monster. They all have their own unique qualities. Iron
True.
Cena's P-Man
True.
said, I would like to apologize for my comments on the suit design from 2 weeks ago, as someone reminded me of the Solar Rangers, which are designed worse and are official as it triggers the same part of my brain as the Unworthy design, just the Solar Rangers do it worse.
I love that you're apologizing for being negative by being like, I'm sorry I said they were bad, because these suits are even worse.
And they're official.
Yeah, yeah.
And then Dolly Girl said negative, but he's always smiling. It's true.
We're
Ninja
both
Steel.
always smiling.
Matt Kendall Clare said Eric Myers / Quantum's Blaster was called the Quantum Defender.
Right.
Ninja Steel.
You don't get a point for that. I'm the one who said it.
I said Quantum Defender.
You said, what did he use? And I'm like, it was the Quantum Ranger's Blaster. You didn't even remember what it was.
I remember the name of it anyways.
I give myself 2 points. If you're getting a point, I'm getting 2 points.
Before the question comes up, the part of my brain that gets triggered is the part that processes visuals. You know what? What we can agree upon is
words have no meaning on a planet where monsters' mouths don't move as they howl.
Exactly. So the first Ranger, super duper BA, really cool guy, hops in, saves an unsuspecting victim from this what you call it? That's a great screenshot, by the way.
Thank you.
Monster. From this howling wolf that we'll agree to disagree upon.
I also
I love this design. This first
one. No, it's a great design, and I love that it's the Arbiter, but we saw the Arbiter first, and so I made the mistake in the trailer. I thought this was a Red Sentry. I didn't realize it was the first Ranger.
I knew it was the first Ranger,
well,
and I don't know why you thought it was a Red Sentry.
Because it would just look like a sort of a semi-smoothed down version of like the Red Ranger, which is what the Sentries are. And I only saw it for a second.
Cheaper helmets.
I only saw it for a second in the trailer, and I don't follow the social media as closely as you do. Well, I follow a lot of these people, but I'm not trying to look for spoilers. But that being said, I do think it's a great design. I think it's a lot of fun, and the more you look at it, the more details you notice, like the gold in the helmet and stuff. And I loved this power up when he gets his sword. He gets all glowy and Tron-y, and then he pulls out the sword, and it gave me Space Sheriff Gavon vibes, where he like powers up his sword, but he actually pulls it out of the ether. That was great.
Thin air.
Yeah, it was very awesome. And then he leaves that fight, which was whatever. But then, actually, in that fight, I thought it was cool. I made a note. Let me see real quick. Stomps how bad. I have a lot of notes about how I hated that mask. I didn't have a screenshot of it, but after he knocks down the villain, the monster, he basically like slashes him up on the ground. But there's a nice rack focus. Again, they know how to use a camera, and to be clear, I'm not saying I could do better, but I've studied a little bit of film enough to understand some of this stuff. And there's a nice rack focus where you have the woman who's hurt, and it's all blurry when he's killing the monster to keep it from being too graphic. You don't actually see what he's doing, and then it pulls back when he becomes like the hero walking away. And I thought that was nicely done.
Yes.
And that's, again, certain techniques you could use for shots like that to cover up if you don't want it to be too graphic, or if you don't have the budget or whatever. And here they did it well, so that's why it's weird to me when they don't do it. You know what I mean? So maybe there is creative decisions up top. Maybe there are people disagreeing. Maybe there are different people running the camera. I don't know, but it's like the first half of that scene looks less well done than the second half of the scene. I don't know why.
You can tell I'm so uninvested in your complaining on this one facet of this episode. I would love to keep
I'm giving
talking
credit
about
where
the
credit's
cool
due.
parts.
Okay. Well, I was giving credit where credit's due. Okay. The next scene I love. It was my favorite thing to happen up to this point, where these sort of like ghoulish putty things show up, and they're like, meh, but they're like horrifying.
They're like putty Tengu like hybrids almost.
Yeah, but they seem undead or something as well.
Yeah.
And they're great suits. They work great. They move great. They look fine.
Yep.
And the fight is awesome. He's just like, wah, wah, wah. He picks this guy up and cuts him in half in midair. Does that big sonic blast that knocks him down. And the sound is like knocks out the speakers.
Yep.
Awesome. Loved it. Best part of the episode so far, I think.
I would say it's tied with Chrono Ranger.
I think Chrono Ranger...
I love Chrono Ranger more than you.
Chrono Ranger is a cool design and idea. It was a little less impressive to me because we've already seen a lesser version of that in the Omega Ranger from Shattered Past. Like, this seems like the souped-up version of the same kind of guy that pulls powers from elsewhere. Doesn't mean I don't like it, but it wasn't as new to me. And the fight scene between the Arbiter and Chrono Ranger wasn't super exciting. It was more about covering fire to let people escape. This was him just like unleashing. It was just like an awesome fight.
It's awesome. I'm saying they're both awesome. I'm saying
You're saying
I
they're awesome
prefer Chrono
equally, and I'm
Ranger
saying
over you, and I'm saying for me, it is a toss-up. I would have to watch it again to definitively tell you which I prefer.
I'm not talking about the character design. I'm talking straight action. You think the action?
I know. I loved the quantum cannon thing.
But that wasn't. I mean, it was. Yes, it was action, but it was more of like, okay, here's my weapon. It was like set pieces to show how cool he is and show the danger. It wasn't like a.
Yes, and I loved it, and it worked.
All right, I loved it too. I'm not saying it wasn't good. I'm saying this was better.
Quit saying everything you hate. Get on the positivity train.
Oh,
So
man.
he chops these guys up in
Yeah.
oh so great fashion.
Yes, and then we see this scene, which is sort of a wasteland from far away. I think that maybe is supposed to be the command center, although I'm unclear. It looks like some sort of village or something.
Yeah, I'm not sure. I know Lord Drakon is just ravaging this
Yes.
land.
And I didn't get this the first time. You see the Megazord kind of halfway falling down in the background there. Let me point it out for those who can't tell. This is the Megazord sort of falling down. In the trailer, we had seen the Megazord like destroyed, but they're actually going back to like they really put money and time into this, or man hours at least, or people hours I should say, because you see it like sort of fighting and get shot and fall backwards and explode. I didn't think we were going to see that. I thought we would just see the wreckage because that could just be an illustration. But somebody 3D animated that. Awesome. Unnecessary, but awesome. Like so,
So good.
Yeah. There's a bunch going on in chat, or no? Is that
a little bit? Let me
yeah.
see. Iron Seen as P-Man. I also wouldn't be surprised if H.P. Lovecraft suffered from it, as his description of some of the Cthulhu areas.
He's still talking about his
well, if not worse.
His having trouble seeing things.
Yeah, and then he also said the first Ranger design is amazing and was the suit I was referring to 2 weeks ago.
Nice.
Awesome. Toku Kid, hi.
Welcome, Toku Kid.
Said, I like the Red Arbiter Spartan type look and fights 300 style.
That's a good point. I agree.
That was pretty cool.
Yeah.
Iron CNSP Man also said, also really good episode 3. I agree with you.
Agreed. All right, so here's the battleground coming now. I think we're going to disagree again in a second here. So we see Lord Drakon show up.
You're going to hate King Tyranno, and you know I'm going to love it.
I'm not sure what version of Lord Drakon this is. I'm
version
guessing
2. This is the Zeo one.
Okay. I didn't look at reference, so I'm going to assume it's accurate to that version.
The helmet is accurate.
Okay.
That's the only thing accurate about it.
Okay. I also understand that this is some other alternate dimension of Lord Drakon, so it doesn't have to be perfectly accurate. But I will say the suit didn't look as put together and professional as a lot of the other suits we've seen up to this point. It's not terrible. It looks like a really good cosplay, which is weird to say because it's all cosplay in a way. I feel like if I saw this at a convention, I'd be like, that's awesome. But the others, I never thought, hey, this is a really good suit, because it just was.
I know
they were just characters. And so, and even if you look at it, like, you can see the gauntlet splitting a little bit, and I don't know, it's just not quite as up to snuff. And then we see Tyranno Ranger, and I felt the same way about Tyranno Ranger. Again, not bad, but it just looked like a costume to me.
Yes, I can agree with your critiques of this part. I think that I didn't nitpick it as much in the moment because I was so hyped to see this happen.
Well, that's the other thing I was going to say. This is awesome. Lord Tyranno, is like a fan favorite fictional character that gets brought to life to fight Lord Drakon. It's Tommy versus Jason. It's a great idea. Everybody wants to see it.
Yep.
Which is why as soon as it started happening, I'm like, oh, why didn't they put a little more into the suits? And again, time, money, I get it. And I understand it's just unfortunate that it's almost unfortunate that everything else is so high level, because it's to the level where I'm not thinking about it. It looks good, so that when something
the way that I saw the last couple of episodes is whenever it came to the unworthy specific Rangers,
right?
And there's 7 or 8 total if you count both versions of the Arbiter. All of those, all the same quality and attention to detail.
Yes, agreed.
Everybody else's fluctuate because they said, hey, you are a cosplayer or you have this other series.
Right.
Would you like to be in this? And obviously different standards and things like that. So for that,
Yes.
because of what they're able to accomplish, especially in this episode, I forgave it even more so because it's, hey, we're not going to come up with a whole new suit for this. We're going to use other people that we have to do this crossover.
I agree. I agree. And for the other Rangers
That's all
that
you need
show
to
up,
say.
no, for the other Rangers that show up, I was more forgiving. And ironically, most of those suits didn't bother me as much. I think it's only because this was such a set piece of a fan moment that everybody wants to see that it like bummed me out a little bit. Didn't ruin it, but bummed me out. I also say I think I knew this, but I kind of forgot that the was it King Tyranno? Is that what his name is? The Jason
Yeah.
character was created by an artist on. Well, I saw him on Instagram. He's probably elsewhere too. Now I wrote it down, but I can't find the note. But I guess the first guy, because like we've seen crossovers and fan art and stuff, but I guess he like created it, and everybody else that did one is based on his. So they actually gave him credit at the end and thanked him for it, which I thought was really cool. That not only that they credited the artist, but also that the artist got to see his creation not just come to life as a cosplay, but in a battle and stuff. So I thought that was really cool. Now, what did you think?
I have a slight. Oh, you first.
What did you think of the actual battle?
I thought it was pretty good. What I was gonna say, and this is just me on myself, is I'm really bummed that they both didn't get to use their signature weapon, like both signature weapons.
Oh yeah, he didn't pull out the Zeo staff and.
Yeah, like I would have loved seeing that dual wield, and I would have loved him having, a prop Saba without the head and the dragon dagger, and them just kind of going.
Or even the Zeo saber if he had the Zeo powers.
He wouldn't have the Zeo saber. He would have the Zeo staff.
No, but no, not Jason, Tommy, because he pulled the Zeo powers in, so he could pull that out too. Yeah.
Yeah.
Not as good, but just another alternative.
Yeah, either way, I get it. It was cool. The other thing to keep in mind, too, that I just thought of is probably the reason that you're a little more critical about these costumes specifically is this is one of the few, like, full-blown, like, choreographed fights we've seen with shielded people. Now, outside of Green Ranger, because they built that specifically for it.
And that looked great.
Yes, but I would understand them having to have more durable and less aesthetically pleasing shields, because of how much movement was required.
And I guess in a funded network television show, they have the stunt ones and the hero ones, and here it's the kind of halfway between the two. That's a very fair point. That is a very fair point.
Yeah,
I guess
one thing. One thing I want to say is. And I literally just realized this is we're looking at these suits. We're looking at the screenshot right now. If you look back almost not 30 years yet, but over 25 years ago, the American Green Ranger shield is pitiful.
Oh, it looks like a stuffed animal.
What they have here.
Yes, no, I agree.
I know
most of the stuff in this is
good.
better than many of the early seasons of Power Rangers in terms of production.
I know,
but I'm comparing it to. I'm not even comparing it to the shows currently on. I'm comparing it to what they have done in their series.
No, I know, but what I'm saying is because of the nostalgia associated with the series, it is kind of crazy to see that people on their own, not affiliated with a network by any means, are doing better stuff that we all remember loving and continuing to keep.
You are absolutely right. I'm just comparing it to its own.
No, and
thing.
I'm not.
And you're right though. Also, that
saying,
they're probably getting volunteer work and lots of different people and stuff.
Oh yeah.
And again, the worst stuff in this is still very good. It's just the best stuff is so good. We've missed a lot of chat, some chat anyway.
I'll let you take this round.
All right, I'm gonna give myself a one shot. The Iron CSP Man, I think version 2, the third one, but I would rather see the final. Speaking of Lord Drakon, Matt Kind of Claire says, agree with you guys that the Drakon suit is not exactly perfect. Iron CSP Man, as Drakon's form, go basic Evo 1 and blah blah blah. This is his least favorite Drakon of all the Evos. Iron CSP Man, God, I like how the suits I have complemented our Time Force Silver and the First Ranger Red version with no caveats. And then Iron Simpson continues, I like the concept of King Tyranno, but I'm not a fan of the design. Dolly Girl says, is the white ball in the background from Epcot at Disney World? Oh man, I don't know what that is. Maybe that's like actually I'll put back so people say, I see what you're saying. I don't think it is, but I have no idea where they're probably filming in California, so it's probably not because there's no Epcot in California. But maybe it's like a water tower or something. Yeah, or observatory. That doesn't bother me at all. We could pretend that's an evil base or something. Iron Scene said, I would say technology's come a long way since the 90s. Absolutely. Matt Kennecler, Art of Tran. Art of Tran did the King Tyranno design. Thank you for that. And yes, that is the artist who I was trying to think of. Okay, so moving on from there.
This fight commences.
Oh,
yeah. Then, I was going to say, this fight commences,
yes.
and then that's a great shot, by the way.
Well,
I love the single Tyranno from the front. It just, it's so cool.
You're not going to like what I have to say next.
I know the Zeo logo is mismatched.
Nope.
And it's not even on both sides.
No, I already critiqued the costume. Now I'm going to critique the performance.
Okay. Oh, the voice is trying too hard to be Austin St. John.
He's trying to be Austin St. John, but so basically we see they're fighting, and Lord Drakon gets killed from behind by the Arbiter, and the Jason actor, what I think I wrote down what he says. He goes, "What the? Who are you?" And he's trying to be Austin St. John, but he sounds more like young Keanu Reeves. Like, I know kung fu, and this
Johnny!
And the body language. And I understand you're in a suit, so you have to over exaggerate, but it was just like, I don't know. It's like, what the? And then like that. So that's this piece here, and then he's like, who the heck are you? Like, I don't know. It just bothered me. It made me think of Keanu Reeves.
I'm not a huge fan of it. I'm not gonna lie to you.
Thanks for not lying.
I think
the helmet looks nice.
I think he should have just done his own take on Jason.
I agree.
As opposed to do a Austin St. John in the 90s impression.
But I guess the problem is we've had people doing their version of Jason David Frank and it doing a pretty good job of it. So I guess they wanted it to match.
His is a lot easier to mimic.
That's true. Yeah. But and also and also because they're from different dimensions, who knows if this is even that same person or whatever. You know, I don't know. It felt very like Bill and Ted Keanu Reeves or like dopey Matrix Keanu Reeves.
I don't disagree with you.
And then he gets killed too. And then right now he's still the Red Sentry.
Oh, so the thing that we forgot to mention is Drakon got this weird like chess piece.
Yes.
That he was going to use to get super powerful.
It kind of reminds me of the thing from the Flash, that Reverse Flash.
Kind
used.
of, yeah. The
temporal absorption thing or whatever it was.
Yeah,
Doesn't
kinetic
matter.
energy. Whatchamacallit.
I didn't get a shot of it. Yeah.
But that's what the first Ranger does. He comes down, he kills both of them, then he takes it, puts it on his chest,
and that's what we see here.
Morphs him into the Arbiter.
Right. Well, no, it doesn't morph him into the Arbiter. Okay. God, okay, I want to say this. I want to say this. I like this a lot. I especially like the last third of this a lot. And I enjoy the series. I enjoy the audacity of how they're trying to cross everything over. I like just about everything about it. So everything I'm saying is a nitpick. Take it with a grain of salt. I couldn't do better. I'm not saying I could. But it's easy to Monday morning quarterback, which is what I'm doing. And something that bothers me, which because of your point here, around the middle, which is where we're getting, they play around with the timeline. And what I mean by that, not time travel, but the way they're showing it to us, the audience. And I think whatever effect they're going for, it makes it a little bit confusing and muddy as opposed to like super awesome or whatever. Like because you're saying this is where it becomes the Arbiter, but it's not. But then we see the Arbiter, and it's like
slowly getting there.
Yeah. So he gets powerful and he teleports away. And the next scene we see is Ninjor. And I was like, yay, Ninjor. And Ninjor has his cool Ninjor voice, which I like. Well, dorky cool, however you want to say it. And the Arbiter, I didn't get it. The Arbiter shows up looking gray and evil and whatever. So it seems like, he turns into the Arbiter, he goes after Ninjor. But I'm like, wait, but like, is this happening now? Or did this happen earlier? Like, is this, because we were watching a flashback. So is this like, now this is present day? But it's not. When he fights Ninjor, it's a flashback, but not as far back as the one we just saw. It's like there's like two different flashback timelines that aren't the present, and it got a little muddy. And it didn't ruin the story because it was sort of just supposed to show how badass things were, but it really felt like he took that, he turned into the Arbiter, and he fought Ninjor. And that is not the order of operations of how it actually happened, based on what happens later. Then we see a bunch of Rangers fighting the Arbiter, including the SPD Omega Ranger, which we can surmise maybe is the one from Shattered Past.
It is the one from Shattered Past.
It is because in the credits they have Colin doing the voice. So whether or not he's in the suit here,
Speaking of which, the
Yes.
credits we got to talk about in depth later.
Okay.
But I loved what they did with that.
Okay.
Since we're jumping around timelines.
I'm gonna tell you, this might be us reviewing this might be a 2-part episode, because we only have about 15 minutes left, and I can't go long
If
today.
somebody didn't take 10 minutes talking about how they hated how a wolf mask was used, we would have been done with that.
You know what would have been better? You're right. It would have been better if they just used it better, and then I wouldn't have had to talk about it so much.
All right, so the montage here.
Yeah.
Off the top of your head, who was your favorite that you saw?
It's gonna sound weird, but I kind of liked Turbo Red, because he just kept firing. I didn't expect to see a Turbo Red at all, and he just kept firing. So that was off the top of my head, I like that.
Okay, this is gonna be a weird one.
Yeah.
I really appreciated that they had unmorphed Rangers.
Yes. And we didn't actually. Oh, there's Turbo Red, for example. And we didn't actually get to see them morph. Like, you got the impression that maybe they got killed as they were morphing.
Yeah, it was like, it's morph.
Yeah, this guy was cool too. I think he's an original creation, White Dragon Ranger or something.
Yeah, I think he's supposed to be based off Titanus.
Okay.
Or no, that one's the White Ranger. There is a Titanus Ranger. But
okay, but this is clearly it's like White Dragon or something. It's like a fan creation, but they've and that's one of the cool things is because of all the multiverse, they could take all these fan creations and make them part of it. Hey, I was really excited for you when this guy came up because I know he's from Overdrive, and I was like, oh yeah, finally something for the big dog. And then so we have a montage of them fighting the Arbiter, right? And after that, we then have a montage of them all losing. We see the Red Ranger falling. We see lots of them fall. There's Adam dead, might even not even be the Adam for this one. So we see a montage of he shows up, fights them all. Then here's a montage he beats them all. Like, okay, I get it.
Yeah.
And this guy too, I think he again talking about less good suits. I don't call this a less good suit because he's from the Armored Ranger series and they use dirt bike armor. This is what I'm saying. So even the suits that are not as professional, I prefer this to the other ones because it's exactly what it's supposed to be. And I love again that they have their own take on it that gets incorporated and makes it again, I love the whole concept. And it's very inclusive and fan friendly. It's very good hearted. Okay. And then we see Alpha fall. So up to this point, I thought he turned into the Arbiter, he went on a spree fighting everyone, and he defeats everyone. That's what it seems like is happening. Then he sees Zordon, but he's the original First Ranger again. What? Nitpick here, I like who they have doing Zordon. I wish the lip sync didn't match up, because on the show it never matched up. That's a nitpick. Yeah, that's fair. I mean, it makes sense that they want to make it better, but again, in my mind, well, this is Zordon from another dimension, because the one from our dimension, his lip sync doesn't match up. So he's like, I'm gonna, I have to let the morphing grid go through me, and I'm gonna be the Arbiter, and I'm gonna judge and whatever, which is very, very flawed logic, but he's a villain, so he's allowed. And then but then in the middle of that, Zordon's like, you don't want to do this. You haven't gone too far. We cut to, okay, here he is as the Arbiter, and he's fighting the Green Ranger. Looks like maybe the Bat and the Sun Green Ranger. I thought it was cool that they had a force shield. I don't know if I've ever seen that, but it was a cool effect. Again, special effects across the board. Great job. Cuts back to Ninjor doing his, Kamehameha, which I loved. And
that was pretty cool. It was more of a Hadouken, but okay.
Okay. Well, no, because he built it up, and he's using ninja powers. I don't know, whatever. I missed the screenshot, but basically the Arbiter's like, no, and he's still the First Ranger, and he smashes Zordon, just like Christopher Cayman Lee Andros did. When he does, fire comes out, and it burns him, and it turns him into the Arbiter. It turns his red black. It burns off parts of him. It makes him all messed up, and so that's how he becomes the Arbiter. And when that happened, I was like, wait, what? I thought he already was the Arbiter, and I'm like, oh, so that was all a flashback.
Yeah, it
within
was
the flashback, which was just a weird. I imagine they thought it would help with dramatic storytelling or whatever, but it just, I don't know, it kind of hurt it because in the dramatic moment, someone go, oh man, he killed, Zordon and became the Arbiter. I was like, wait, what? He was all, oh, okay. So it took me out of the story when that happened, and then, we cut back to him fighting Rangers and beating them. And for example, here we see him fighting this Ranger, which we already saw defeated. So why are we now seeing it's really weird. I don't understand the choices that were being made. And then here's the guys you liked, and I dug this too, that we saw unmorphed Rangers that presumably got killed before they got to use their powers.
Yeah.
I like this scene of Omega Ranger doing the blur fisty, flash stuff, and he's just sort of like whatever, knocking it off.
It was like
So,
Hyper Punch or
yeah,
something.
so I love the concept of having all these multiple Rangers and different dimensions and fighting and dying and bringing in other fan franchises and cosplayers. It's just the way they cut it together was weird, and I can't figure out why they did it that way. I'm not even sure what they were going for. You know what I mean? Like, it didn't wreck everything, but it just I didn't get it. I didn't understand why they did that. You have a theory?
No. I
Okay.
just really liked it. And
I did too, but again, it's
I
that thing of
accepted
like,
the weird continuity.
I guess I would have liked it better if we see the character and then they're fighting and then they die, as opposed to because there's a little bit more stakes, even if you only see him for a few seconds. You know what I mean?
I'm assuming not everyone he fought died.
I agree. There's a bunch of chat. You wanna take this one?
Oh, yep. You're right. There is a lot of chat.
Artatran was the last one I read.
Real Babu said Spicoli.
Oh, for
Best
the
times original high reference.
yeah.
Dolly Girl said
Sven-
Spicoli.
Svengoolie. That is
Svengoolie,
that's
there we
like
go.
a horror host, I think. Okay.
Toku Kid said the chess piece is the Firestorm Matrix from the Flash.
Oh, there you go. That also could work. Yes.
You get a Ninja Steel point, Toku
There
Kid.
you go. Take that home.
Iron CNS P-Man said, my favorite cameo was Drakon with the Mastodon Sentries. That was pretty
I
cool.
almost said that one. Actually, you know what? Hold on. I want to correct mine and say the scene with Omega Ranger doing the super speed punches is my favorite.
Okay. I figured, so.
I forgot until it came up.
Whatever. Iron CNS P-Man said White Dragon is based on the film JDF tried to get funded on Kickstarter.
Yeah.
It failed. I believe it was called Legend of the White Dragon.
I thought it might be, but I didn't look at the design enough to actually check that, but that's even better.
That makes more sense now.
Absolutely.
Still point for you, Iron CNSP, man. Toku Kid said, I love that the Z-Wave didn't kill him, showing he isn't a bad guy, at least in his own eyes. Matt Kendall Clare said, Colin.
I get what you're saying, but this is also potentially a different Zordon with a different wave going out. It wasn't a sacrifice, it was a murder. Andros and he... Kind of like when Obi-Wan died and he like kind of let himself die and go to the Force. Zordon was like, destroy me and I will purge. This was like, hey, please don't kill me. Oh, I'm dead. So we don't know what effect it might have.
So the way I saw it, assuming it would work the same as it did in space, is that because his powers were rooted in good, it didn't destroy him, but it severely injured him and changed him to the point that he is now, where his powers kind of morphed into the Arbiter.
Yeah, but anybody that was evil got turned good in the original canon.
Or they were destroyed.
Right. I can accept it because it's a different Zordon and he was killed in a different way. I don't think
that's fine.
That's how I accept it. Oh, we still had more chat though.
Yep. Toku Kid said, I love the Matt Kendall Clare Colin, voice of Omega in this episode, was not the one in the suit according to the credits.
I could tell that by the
yeah. Body type.
Yeah, and it was hung a little looser and yeah. Not that I'm saying that they look bad, but like as I've talked before.
You could just tell it was just a difference in.
Yeah.
Iron CSP Man said morality is subjective. Same with good and bad.
Sure.
Yeah, up to Dolly Girl said Svengoolie is the Elvira mistress of the dark, but male and is based in Chicago. Matt Kendall Clare said looked at the credits. Episode 3 recasted the Adam actor. Makes sense.
Definitely behind the scenes if they couldn't even get him in the suit for a scene. Yeah.
That's why. And he didn't talk, if I remember correctly.
I don't remember him saying anything.
Real Babu said, who else didn't get killed by a Z-Wave?
Yeah. Maybe Babu and Squat.
Iron CNSP Man said, also, I think one of the White Rangers is the Bat in the Sun White Ranger, as there was a difference, not as much as the green, though. Matt Kendall Clare said, good question, Real Babu. We don't know about Babu, Scorpina, Locor, Master Vile, Gasket, or Arcarina.
I don't remember her. Was she the Machine Empire woman?
I don't remember.
Adam said, "Take my coin." Yeah. Oh, sorry, I stepped on. Yeah.
No, that's fine. But yeah.
I'm gonna say let's stop the review now. We've got 5 minutes left. We're not gonna be able to finish it. I'd rather keep going a deep dive and pick this up next week. Let's do a little bit of
Fine.
news and then come back to it. Wouldn't you rather? You want to rush through the last half? We're barely
No,
halfway
I
through
just
it.
want to go longer than an hour, which I
I
know you don't.
know. I can't, well, we started late. If we didn't start late, maybe I could. But we will be back next week, and we will finish this next week. But yeah.
So
What?
we'll talk about it offline.
Okay. Well, let's you had
We'll
some
finish
news.
out with some news though.
Okay.
So news-wise, what do you
Yes.
got?
Well, first thing I want to talk about is these nanos that have been released. They're little metal
Dude.
miniature nanos. They've done Harry Potter and Marvel and stuff like that, but they've announced that they're
Yeah.
releasing Power Ranger, the first Power Ranger set. You can see it on Amazon here. It's $26, but they're available at Target or whatever. And they have all the Mighty Morphin as you'd expect, but then they also have Lord Drakon. They have some Zeo. They have Ninjor, Psycho Ranger. They have I forget what that guy's, the purple guy, the Wolazord or whatever his name is.
Oh,
Dino
why
Thunder.
am I
They got
blanking on
Phantom
his name?
Ranger. They got
Korag.
Korag, thank you. And they got Scorpina. So they have a nice mix. They hit the Mighty Morphin heavy because they knew they had to, but they picked a nice mix and they got a nice metallic paint. I'm very tempted to get these. I won't because they're so small. I'll lose them. I don't know what to do with them. But if you don't already have a big collection and you just want to put some on your desk or something, or as the big dog said, what was your suggestion with these?
So the cool thing about these is I would need to see them in person, but I would assume they scale pretty well with the miniatures in the Battle for the Grid game, and these are painted, which is an added bonus. So the good news is the core game has the 5 Mighty Morphin Rangers.
Yep.
Depending on which expansions you get either Lord Drakon, White Ranger, Green Ranger, as I said, depending on what you get. And for villains, there's Goldar, Rita, Zed. So I think Scorpina, I don't know though.
Yes, Scorpina.
Ninjor probably in a future one. You can get the Zeo Rangers if you got the Zeo expansion Kickstarter. So a lot of options
And
for
presumably,
that game.
presumably the Nano will put out more sets as well.
Yeah. And the other thing that's cool is how many is this total? Is this 15?
It said on one of these. I already lost it. 20.
4,
It's a
6,
20 pack.
20.
Yeah.
So they're barely over $1 a piece.
Right.
And that versus painting the actual miniatures, I think this is much better.
Oh, I agree. Like I said, the only reason I'm not getting them is because I don't have the game and I don't know what I would do with them. But they look nice and they're good value. Absolutely.
And worst case, if there's ones you don't want, I mean, bundle them up in a little envelope and see if you can sell them on one of the Ranger groups on Facebook.
There you go. All right. What was the first thing you wanted to talk about for news?
It's a little bit of a somber note, unfortunately.
Oh no.
But the Go-Go Power Rangers comic is ending in April.
Oh yeah.
Which we haven't talked about.
No. I posted it on the group that it was ending, even though I'm not reading it currently.
Yeah.
But why? It's somber. You don't think they're gonna start a new like a new series to replace it?
I could see them potentially starting a new one, but I also
well, why is it ending? Is it ending because of not sales, or was the story just wrapped up?
I think what happened was, and this is speculation because I'm crazy behind on Go-Go.
Okay.
But Go-Go
issue 32 is the final one. I have it up on the screen now from CBR.
Yep. Go-Go started where it was Power Rangers pre-Tommy and kind of aligned with the show. And then Ranger Slayer came in right before Shattered Grid, whereas Mighty Morphin was just kind of its own thing.
Right.
And then now it seems like it's morphed to be kind of what Mighty Morphin, the main series, originally was. So it's kind of like redundant between the two series.
Right.
And possibly sales aren't great either. I don't know. But just based on the cover, it looks like it's crossing over with what's going on with Mighty Morphin.
I guess I'm not caught up either, but I don't have any problem with that as long as they release another series. Like, hey, here's Zeo or here's whatever, I'm totally cool exploring different avenues, but if it goes away and nothing replaces it, that's not bode well for the future of the comics.
That's my fear.
But my understanding is that the comics do really well. So I don't know. All right. Well, my next. Let's check chat real quick. We're almost done here. Let's see. Airzuki saying sorry, big dog. Airzuki is wanting me to make dinner. Matt Kendall Claris saying hello. Korag Wolf Warrior were the ones I was trying to think about. Iron Cenas Pan Hasbro only cares about Mighty Morphin and has a lot of fans on Twitter. He typed it that way. That's why I said it that way. Heroes for the Grid Battle, the video game. Heroes for the Grid
Ah,
Battle is the video game, says Mechan O'Clair.
good call.
Airzuki's Aloha. Iron CSP Man, sure, MMPR heavy, but they had a Mystic Force Ranger twice, which isn't exactly talked about in the Phantom. Well, that's what I'm saying. They did the Mighty Morphin, but because it's 20-pack, they diversified a little bit. And Iron
Yep.
CSP Man, Go-Go is caught up with the current MMPR book, and there are no time skip planned for the main series. So, kind of what you were saying.
Yeah.
The other news I wanted to talk about real quick is basically about the conventions, which just real quick, I'll put up the full screen. That's not the one I want. That's the one I want. Ranger Stop and Power Morphicon, the two main Power Ranger conventions, have been announcing guests. Ranger Stop and Pop is like their secondary one. Their main one is in Orlando. The secondary one is in Georgia. Oh man, I have it up right here and I don't see. Well, wherever it is. Atlanta. Atlanta. So that's Georgia. Yeah. It's not just Power Rangers, like half Power Rangers, half others. But you can see they've already announced a few people: Johnny Young Bosch, Paul Scherer, Jason Narvi, Catherine Sutherland, Nakia Baris, I believe is her name, Karen Ashley. Karen Ashley and Nakia, I believe, are kind of co-owners, so they're always going to be there, presumably. Jason Font, Dan Salsworth, and Deborah Estelle Phillips. So a lot of Time Force people, a lot of good people if you're in the Atlanta area, and they're announcing more. Meanwhile, Power Morphicon Maine, which is in South
It's
California,
in
down
Pasadena this year.
Pasadena, kind of near LA-ish area for those that don't know. They've begun starting their guest announcements. I think it's funny they announced Jason David Frank, but they have him with each of his different characters, I guess,
Yeah,
for
like
social
6
media.
different times.
Yeah, because look at all these people. But Jason David Frank, Jason Font also attending this one, Brennan Mejia, and Romy J. Sharf, which is one of the alphas. But the ones that I found most interesting, not that I don't like these other people, but I've met most of them. They got Kevin Duhaney, who is Dino Thunder Blue. I don't know if he's done a show before, but I've never seen him at a show in the last couple of years. And Allison Kipperman, who is Wild Force Yellow, who actually I really like Wild Force Yellow. So I'm excited for both of them, but actually I was a particular fan of her on that season, so I'm hoping I get a
Yeah.
chance to meet her. That also means 2 new headshots I'm gonna have to do because
I know. I'm so excited.
fingers crossed I'll be selling at Power Morphicon. Nothing definite yet, but if I am, I have all these other people done, but I'll need to do those too. And then going on the theme not of Power Rangers but of on conventions. East Bay Comic Con in the Bay Area of California is this weekend coming up on Sunday. I will be there selling my art. I'll have Action Activate cards, but I won't be like really repping that. The Big Dog probably won't be with me. But
I unfortunately will not.
Big
I
Dog will
have a
not be
work
with me.
trip all
Okay.
next.
But if you're in the area, I will be there selling art and chatting with people and hanging out at East Bay Comic Con at the Crown Plaza Inn this Sunday. And that concludes my news. Did you have anything else you wanted to say before we sign off here?
People said that they're starting to see the new wave lightning figures in person.
I've heard that, but everybody I see is a reviewer that probably got early samples, so I'm not sure. Or Canada. Canada seems to get them before us.
Yeah, that too. Out of the new wave, are there one or multiple figures you're like, I have to have that the second I see it, or are you gonna play a waiting game?
There's SPD Red, there's Blaze from Beast Morphers, Zeo Blue and it has the Rocky head, right?
Correct.
And what's the fourth one?
Trini.
I could wait on Trini. I can,
Wow.
because I think she's going to be easy to get. And I have several Trini figures in my collection already. So I could wait on Trini. I can wait on SPD Red. I have SH figure arts of him, and I haven't even seen SPD. So I think Blaze I'm very excited for, but I see the Beast Morphers ones hanging around the longest. So I think the one I would grab would be Zeo Blue. And I think what I'm going to do is keep the helmet on and take the Rocky head and put it on my non-armored Red Ranger to make so I have Rocky the Red Ranger. So that's probably the one I'd get right away. Although, as I'm saying that, I don't feel an urgent need to get Trini, but I wonder if she's going to be the hard one to get because she's Mighty Morphin.
I love how you contradict yourself. Within 30 seconds, you're like, I think she'll be easy to get, but I might get her because she might be hard to get.
Blaze is the one that I'm not going to worry about getting right away, even though I'm actually quite excited because I think he'll be easy to get later on and on sale.
Yeah.
What about you?
Same. Mighty Morphin is all I've learned are the ones that are difficult, and Red seems to be the only exception. A, because of Comic Con, and B, because I think they packed him like way more.
Right. So you're gonna get Trini first and wait on the rest. Hope we get him on sale.
Yeah.
Okay. Fair enough. Let me check chat here. INCSP Man. They should have saved Go-Go Power Rangers for an anthology series, but I've heard some people say Hasbro owns IDW, so maybe they want all their IPs under the company of True. Oh wow, that's interesting. In all fairness, JDF helps fund Power Morphicon, and Dino Thunder Blue has done a few shows. Okay. Yeah, no JDF is involved. I have no problem with that. I just thought it was funny that he had, and I understand why, because for social media. But when I first looked at it, I thought, wow, they have more guests announced than I thought.
I was gonna say it actually annoyed me at first, where I'm like, oh, and oh no,
Yeah.
and, okay, it's just JDF. JDF's the only person there.
Yeah, and Dino Thunder Blue has done a few shows. Okay, that's cool. I guess just not in the past few years, because I've only been going the last couple years.
You'll be surprised to know, and surprised in a sarcastic way, that Austin St. John will be there for day 0 only.
Yeah, I did see that. It's weird. It is weird. If there is still this drama between JDF and Austin St. John, if there isn't, then it makes no sense. So I'm assuming there is.
Yeah.
If JDF, I mean, he has pull with Power Morphicon, he's involved with them in a business sense. Wouldn't Austin St. John just not be invited at all, or not be included at all, or like what? And not that I want that. I've said before I want them both to be in the same building. I don't. Whatever. It's stupid. I don't care anymore.
I could see them saying, "Look, man, like people really want to see Mighty Morphin. Like, what could you do?" And he's like, "All right, as long as I'm not there, I don't care." It's like, okay, then day 0 it is.
Yeah. It's whatever.
But I don't know.
It is what it is. I've met them both, so it's fine for me. But I feel like other people that are coming in from out of town aren't necessarily going to want to come in a day early just for that one event. Like, I don't know, whatever. They're doing what they're doing. It's fine. It's better than nothing. I don't think it has anything to do with Scott Zillner. I think it has to do with weird drama between actors, and I just wish it didn't exist. But it's the real world, and whatever. In chat says Iron CSP Man, Power Rangers Twitter said that their news this week, so there's news about news. And Trini is one per pack, so probably hard at the start, but easy if they order a lot. So I guess I should grab Trini if I see her. Matt Kendall Claire, Kevin D, Dino Thunder Blue has done recent appearances at Power Morphicon due to my quick search. I was at Power Morphicon Express, he wasn't there, and I was at the last Power Morphicon, and he wasn't there, and he wasn't at the last two Ranger
I think he was
stops.
at the last one, and you just don't remember.
Really?
Oh, let me take that back. I think he was at the one that you didn't table at.
Okay, so he was at the first one I went to that I just went as a guest. That's believable.
Yeah.
But that still was a couple of years ago. Because I've been to two, well, I'm counting, it's been a few years. He hasn't been at one in a few years, let's say that.
Yeah. Because I'm thinking, I'm like, would you have skipped him for your headshots?
No.
If you knew he was at the last one.
Not on
like, nah,
purpose.
not,
Not
so
on purpose. Okay, so we're going to close out here. I accidentally restarted this video a few times over here. What I was drawing was Leopardon. Actually, I think I have
Leopardon!
There he is. Which
Marvela!
was Marvela! Change! Which was, of course, Supaidaman's giant robo.
Supaidaman!
Which was the first Sentai to have a giant robo, which is influenced Sentai, which influenced Power Rangers. So once again, Marvel's Spider-Man, for those that don't know, is kind of directly responsible for Power Rangers becoming. It already existed as Super Sentai, but becoming what we now know. This was a huge piece of that history. It's a weird-looking robot with like a spider mouth, but it's kind of cool. I kind of hated it at first, and then it grew on me. Is what happened.
Yeah.
I've also heard that it's theoretically one of the most powerful robots ever because it wins every fight in one shot.
Everything.
Now, maybe it's just fighting weak villains, but the stats make it look very good. Iron CNSP Man said Kevin D did one in Britain last year. Not exclusive Power Rangers, but he was there. Only franchise exclusive one is BotCon Transformers. Okay, so again, I was wrong. He is not it's not the first time, but it's been a little while, and it's been a little while near me. So I was excited.
I'm glad you admitted that you were wrong, Gaz.
Oh boy. Well, you know what? I am Gaz. I am Gazbot, and you.
I am and continue to be for the time being and in the future until further notice.
Right.
The Big Dawg Defender.
Normally here we'd say something and go to credits. I'm gonna do this. Explosion. I just felt like doing that. But so we're going to be done. We'll be back next week with part 2. There's just too much to dive into. To sum up, it's great. We love it. I hate everything about it. To the power.
To the power. See you guys later.